The sun hung low over Brookhaven's quiet streets, painting gold across the windshields of passing cars. For Detective Laura Mitchell, it was just another patrol. For Marcus Bennett, it was supposed to be a simple drive across town, a visit to his mother after a long week at the agency. But fate had a cruel sense of timing. Laura's radio crackled with a vague report, a suspicious black male driving a dark SUV through Oak Ridge Estates. In Brookhaven, that was enough. She eased her cruiser behind the SUV, lights flashing red and blue. Marcus slowed, pulled over calmly, and placed both hands on the steering wheel. He had done this before, stopped more times than he cared to count. Politeness had become his armor. "License and registration," Laura ordered. "Of course, officer." "It's right here," Marcus replied. Her gaze drifted to the passenger seat, a leather briefcase, expensive looking. Something inside her shifted from curiosity to suspicion. She told herself she was just being thorough, but deep down she knew she was chasing approval, not justice. When Marcus stepped out of the vehicle as instructed, Laura's hands trembled. She opened the driver's door, crouched low, and pretended to search. From her pocket, a small packet of heroin slipped beneath the seat. Quick. Invisible. Done. One choice. 1 second. One lie. That was all it took to rewrite a man's life, and ruin her own. Laura straightened and held up the packet triumphantly. "Well, what do we have here?" she said. "That's not mine," Marcus answered quietly. "Save it for the station." She began reciting his rights. But as she spoke, Marcus did something unexpected. Slowly, he reached into his jacket pocket. "Don't move!" Laura shouted. He froze, eyes calm, almost sad. Then he pulled out a gold badge, gleaming in the sunlight. "DEA, Director, Federal Narcotics Division." "You just made the biggest mistake of your career," he said. For a heartbeat, neither moved, one officer staring at the law itself staring back at her. In that silence, Brookhaven's buried secrets began to stir. What would you do if this happened to you? If stories like this move you, please subscribe for more powerful true stories every week. Before that moment on Oak Ridge Avenue, before the flashing lights and trembling hands, there was a woman who believed she was doing the right thing. Laura Mitchell hadn't always been this way. When she joined the Brookhaven Police Department 8 years earlier, she carried her father's old badge in her pocket for luck. She believed the uniform stood for fairness. But the department rewarded numbers, not integrity. Every rookie learned quickly results mattered more than truth. Arrests meant praise. Questions meant trouble. Laura watched good officers transferred or fired for challenging corruption. To survive, she stayed silent. Small compromises became habits. A planted wallet here, a forced confession there. She told herself it was for the greater good. Over time, fear replaced conscience. Marcus Bennett's life could not have been more different. Raised in Atlanta by a single mother who worked double shifts as a nurse, he grew up believing that justice must be earned through honesty. His determination carried him through law school and into the DEA. He was known for exposing drug rings that reached into city politics. But for all his success, Marcus never forgot what it felt like to be profiled. Even in a tailored suit, suspicion followed him. Doors locked when he walked by. Colleagues assumed he'd taken a diversity slot. He fought those battles quietly, believing professionalism would one day silence prejudice. That Saturday, Marcus was off duty. He carried flowers for his mother and a briefcase of reports he planned to review later. Nothing about him said danger, except his skin, in a neighborhood that pretended not to notice its bias. For Laura, the radio call felt like an opportunity. Her last 2 cases had gone nowhere, promotion season was near. The easiest arrests were always the ones no one questioned. She didn't hate Marcus. She didn't even know him. She feared slipping into failure more than she feared injustice. Do you think justice is truly equal for everyone? The siren wailed for 3 seconds before falling silent. Laura approached the SUV with practiced authority. Marcus rolled down his window, sunlight catching the rim of his wedding ring. "Good afternoon, officer," he said. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" "I'm not sure, ma'am." "Was I speeding?" "Step out of the car, please." He hesitated, confused but compliant. As he moved, Laura's body camera blinked red, recording a story she thought she controlled. While Marcus stood beside the vehicle, Laura crouched inside. She rummaged through the glove compartment, opened the console, lifted the seat cushion. When her hand slipped under the driver's seat, the tiny plastic bag she'd carried all morning found its new home. Moments later she emerged, holding it up like evidence of triumph. "You're under arrest for possession of a controlled substance," she declared. Marcus stared at her, disbelief tightening his voice. "That's impossible. Turn around and place your hands on the vehicle." He complied, silent, as the cold metal cuffs clicked around his wrists. A small crowd began to gather, neighbors watching through curtains, a jogger slowing down, phones raised discreetly. Marcus knew the power of perception. One headline, "Black man found with heroin in luxury SUV," and his reputation would evaporate. Inside the cruiser, Laura radioed dispatch, voice steady but heart racing. This was supposed to be routine, yet a strange guilt crawled beneath her uniform. She avoided Marcus's gaze in the rearview mirror. Halfway to the station, Marcus spoke. "Officer Mitchell, do you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are," she said coldly. "No," he replied softly, "you really don't." His calm unnerved her more than anger ever could. She tightened her grip on the wheel, unaware that her every word, every movement, was being tracked, not just by her body cam, but by Marcus's silent agency phone pinging his location to headquarters. How would you react if you were in his shoes? Back at the station, the booking area buzzed with chatter. Laura escorted Marcus through the double doors. Her supervisor, Lieutenant Ross, gave her a nod of approval. But when Marcus's belongings were logged, the sergeant paused at the sight of his identification. The badge number glinted beneath the fluorescent light, DEA Director. The room fell silent. Marcus turned to Laura, his tone measured. "You should call Internal Affairs. Now." Color drained from her face. Her commanding officer stiffened. "Mitchell, is this some kind of joke?" "No, sir," she whispered. Marcus explained calmly that he was conducting an oversight review of interagency cooperation when he decided to visit his mother. His vehicle had been tracked for safety. The planted evidence, the stop, all of it was recorded. Ross's jaw tightened. "Get him uncuffed." When the cuffs fell away, Marcus flexed his wrists and looked at Laura, not with anger, but disappointment. "You swore the same oath I did," he said. "To serve the truth, not yourself." The weight of his words crushed the silence. Laura wanted to speak, to apologize, but no sentence could fix what she had done. Have you ever seen truth turn the tables like this? Within 24 hours, Brookhaven PD became national news. The footage from Laura's body camera, paired with Marcus's dash recording, left no room for doubt. Reporters flooded the precinct steps. Civil rights groups demanded reform. Internal Affairs uncovered a pattern of planted evidence stretching back years. Several officers resigned before hearings could begin. Marcus cooperated fully but refused to grandstand. "This isn't about humiliation," he told journalists. "It's about accountability." Behind closed doors, Laura faced interrogation. The same colleagues who once praised her now distanced themselves. She confessed to planting the drugs, citing pressure to meet quotas. Her words cracked something open in the department's walls of silence. For the first time, Brookhaven residents felt seen. Former victims came forward, their stories echoing Marcus's. Meanwhile, Marcus's mother watched the coverage from her living room, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You finally did it, son," she whispered. "You made them listen. Do you believe justice can fix what prejudice breaks?" Months later, the city council chamber overflowed with citizens. New policies were being passed, independent review boards, mandatory bodycam audits, community oversight committees. Marcus stood before the crowd, not as a victim, but as a reformer. Justice, he said, isn't about revenge. It's about correction. Laura Mitchell, stripped of her badge, attended the hearing quietly at the back. When the meeting ended, she approached Marcus. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "But I'm willing to testify against every name that taught me this." He studied her for a moment. "Then start there," he replied. Their handshake was brief, heavy with history. Outside, cameras flashed, and for once Brookhaven's light felt genuine. The same streets that once hid injustice now echoed with cautious hope. Marcus drove home that evening to his mother's house, placed fresh flowers on the table, and finally exhaled. Justice had been served, not perfectly, but truth had found its way through the cracks. What lesson do you take away from this story? If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.